So I'll stain it with a really heavy, saturated color of whatever choice. This one was done with amber. And I'll let that dry, and then sand it back, and you get that definition that really starts to bring out the grains really well. Every color gives you a different, kind of a different look. Every wood will give you a different look. The difference between quilt and flame is entirely different. They handle different, they sand different, they look different when they're done. Mahogany gets all grain filled. You can see how there's all these little dark lines. Mahogany grains are straws. So if there's a hole here, there's a match to it on the other end. If you don't seal those up as you start to spray, it'll blow bubbles all over the whole guitar, and it just turns into a nightmare. If you do manage to get them all filled over the course of time, I don't care how good your paint is, it'll shrink into those, and over time you'll start to see little pock marks that look like contamination. It's basically a poorly constructed finish at that point that wasn't handled properly from the ground up. So everything you start with at the bottom will eventually show through to the end. Sealers, flaws, scratches. It all starts, man. Every step builds upon itself to build a quality finish. From this stage here, it'll get scuffed. I got to take that shine off it, clean up the bindings, make sure that all of my residue is cleaned off. You can see that there's some stuff in there that needs to be cleaned, and then it'll come back in through for its first coat of polyester primer. You'll see 4 coats of polyester primer, and it'll dry overnight, and then it'll all get sanded to put this shape back into it, just like they sanded it out of the wood shop, except at this point it's encapsulated and protected. At that point, I'll tape off the bindings, and then I can spray my color, and from here I can do a vintage burst, which would be a light brown honey burst on the edges. I can do cherry burst. I can do a tobacco burst. All depends on the colors you put over this and the colors you do with your burst at that point. And then generally what you do on the front will match with on the back. So if I did like a tobacco burst here, I would spray this back with a little darker brown, but you still want to see all these grains, so you go with the transparent finish on the backs. And
now, are you doing one guitar at a time, or will you do this and let it sit in a different room and then come back to it?
I'll batch things. It's always faster to batch, especially if I can batch colors as well as guitars. You kind of get into a flow, especially if you're doing, well, say I was going to do a run of cherry bursts, I would bring in 6 of them. So all the color that goes on the face is the same color. Everything that goes on the burst is the same color. Everything that goes on the back is the same color. Those 6 guitars will be as close to identical color-wise as I can do. Other than you get some natural discrepancies in the wood, everything's a little different. You know, every piece has its own personality, which is gonna make it come out itself. But consistency is key.
Right.
Once you get into a flow with doing something, it's good to stick with it. Be it a burst or solid colors or whatever. It just keeps things even.
How long does it take you to do one guitar, paint one guitar?
You know, I've never really timed it out. Just because there's so much dry time in between steps.
Right.
But to bring a guitar to life, you know, for a normal paint shop.
For a normal paint shop, from the time it comes to Dan to the time that I'll drop it off in assembly, we're probably talking a week and a half to 2 weeks.
However, but tell them how long it takes to actually paint it, separate the drying.
The actual spray time is minimal. To actually spray a guitar, I can spray a guitar in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, from the time that I start pulling the trigger on it to the time that I hang it back up, 30 seconds per coat.
It comes to life very quickly.
Very quickly.
How did you get involved with Luna?
I haven't been involved with Luna so much as Dean Guitars. I had my own shop in Wisconsin that I painted as a contract painter for Dean Guitars about 5 years ago, and we did 300 guitars out of my shop. I just figured it out the other night. We pulled it up on the computer. We painted 300 Dean Guitars through my little garage shop in Wisconsin.
In a year?
Over the course of about 4 years, because I was painting for several other people at the time, a bunch of custom bass builders and a couple of the guitar builders.
So how many guitars do you run through here in a week?
In a week,
For us right now, we typically run through about 40 guitars in a month.
Yep, we're shooting at 10 guitars a week is our goal.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's pretty lofty, but I think we can hit it. And it's going to take a crack team of people back here to make that happen, and I think we got the people on board to do it.
Well, now with the new shop, that might You might
This
say,
helps.
yeah,
This helps a bit.
yeah.
This
And
goes a lot.
You were
more.
saying that you basically designed it, correct? And you sent the design
Oh,
to me?
no,
Or you didn't design, or you conceptualize?
I'm just, basically they tell me what to paint, and I do that.
No, I'm talking about
Oh, the booth?
overall
So,
yeah.
I'll tell you this, it was a lot of kind of a joint vision between
Yep.
Sharon and I. And a big part of that was I went to Sharon and I said, hey, look, you have a lot more experience and acumen in doing this than I do. What do you want? What do you think we need? And I presented a few options and things that we were thinking about. And then Sharon helped us kind of dial in exactly what we wanted, how we wanted it, the sizing, the lighting, the coloring, all of it. And so it was a very good team effort.
It really was. Yep.
And we were able to, finally get exactly what we wanted for the vision of how many guitars we wanted, the safety precautions, everything that we needed here, all the ventilation, and I think Sharon is very happy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you do a lot of custom work as well?
I think we will, but right now, because we've got such a big backlog of orders already,
yeah.
we're going to keep the custom stuff here to a minimum at the moment. We got production to do, and we've got to get that backlog down. We've got to get the customers happy. We've got to get them their guitars, and then we can talk about custom stuff at that point. But I don't think right now any custom stuff they will probably send out to a private painter at this point. We'll handle part of it in house. And then we'll send it out to them to do the graphics or whatever, and then it'll come back here for finish. So
And we do, to that point, we do a lot of custom work. That being said, though, of course, with the custom work comes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. And right now, we're trying to kind of, to Sharon's point, get back to our normal run rate. And we have 800 guitars back ordered for USA right now. So, do the math, but doing 40 a month, 480 a year, it would take us 2 years almost to catch up with back orders. So
I can tell you the math. I can tell you it's 5.5 years of job security right now.
So obviously you're a lot happier in Florida with this nice, warmer
It was
weather.
10 degrees in Wisconsin when I got up
Yeah.
this morning. I was like, this is good. I can get in my car with a short sleeve shirt on. I'm good with this.
Exactly.
And in fact, I was just telling Evan here a little while ago, we're actually looking at closing on a house on Monday. We've been down here since October. We found a house. We're looking at getting.
Congratulations.
I was gonna say,
we
it's
did really
amazing.
good. We got a nice house in a nice area, and we're looking at signing on Monday.
That's
When you
Congratulations.
signed the contract, that was a commitment, but buying your new house, that's a commitment.
Now, you ain't getting rid of me.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say,
I'm
not getting rid of
telling
you.
you.
Look, we couldn't be happier to have you.
Aww.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love it.
Window right there.
Right?
It's a beautiful moment.
I wouldn't have come down here if I didn't believe in what I was told when I came down. I came down last May and had almost a day-long meeting with Evan, all the heads of the departments. And by the time honestly, I was here 10 minutes and I was all ready to sign.
But I think it was a match made in heaven. Look, by the time that we went to dinner after we were at our facility that day, by the time you went to dinner, not only did you like the team, the culture, the company, but what we can provide and what you can help us with. Again, it's a match made in heaven.
It's hard to
we
find.
couldn't be happier to have you.
It really is, and God knows there's other painters out there they could have chose. I don't think they'd have been the right fit.
I wouldn't have chosen anyone but you.
So, thank you.
Well, I have one question.
Sure.
It's predominantly, been a male-dominated industry,
Ain't
guitar,
that the
and and just painting in general.
Yep, it is.
And our issue this month for Guitar Girl Magazine is focusing on, other positions that women can do in the industry besides playing guitar. I've
Anything.
not ever talked to a woman that paints guitars.
I think I'm one of a few. In fact, I may be one of the only. I know there's some other female airbrush artists out there that have made their mark, but they've had to fight tooth and nail to get there. And kind of so have I. You're right. It's a male-dominated industry. But I think my work speaks for itself, which is why I'm here.
So what's
and
your advice to an aspiring?
believe in yourself. If you want to do it, just do it. Learn how to do it. Put the time in. Put the work in. And you wind up doing this. I got the coolest job in the world, seriously.
You do.
Who gets to do this for a living? I love it. I come into work every morning. I work on some of the best built instruments I've ever had my hands on with an amazing crew of people in a brand new paint facility.
It's great.
They can do anything they want to do. They want to play, they play. They want to paint, I'll teach them how.
Great.
You know, they want to come here, put in an application. If they want to learn how to paint, I'll teach them how to paint.
And
Now-
I'll do you one better really
Okay.
quickly. So Sharon was kind enough, and she said, look, I want someone that will help me, that will be unbiased, and that will be great as a partner. I don't need an expert in painting. So Sharon helped us select a gentleman, not a girl, but a gentleman from
That's all right.
a gentleman from the setup line, and she said, hey look, I want to make this person my protege. I want to mentor them, I want to bring them up to speed. I have a lot to offer, a lot of wisdom, and that's what we're doing. So, you know, Sharon has really spearheaded this department. You know, she's an entity kind of in and of herself, and she's gotten the right team, and she's done a lot to really further our paint department.
That's great.
Just
And you know,
Sharon.
and just to let you know, we're not about, you know, bashing men and all this
No,
stuff. We're
not
just
at all.
we're just trying to make it, you know, bring some more women and just say, hey, you can do this.
This is
you
an
know?
option. It really is
I
an
love it.
option.
Yeah.
My shop back in Wisconsin, one of our best friends' kids worked with me for 4 years. She was 17 years old when I brought her on board. I wouldn't have traded her for the world. If I could have got her to move down here with me and work with me, I'd have brought her with me, but she didn't want to leave home. And she was great. She learned fast. She was OCD, which basically meant that everything she did to perfection, which in this business you have to do. You know, and there was actually times I had to say, okay, you're done. You know, you did this good enough. Let's move on to the next step. You're done now. It's like, that's
But
better
you know
than I
what?
did.
That's one of the best things that women are really good at, is being
Detail.
a bit more detail oriented, right? And a lot of the men
We
are
just-
broad brush, you know, you paint analogous, you paint with a broad brush, right? And a lot of the women are more detail oriented. And, you know, Sharon is able to dial in exactly what we need, how we need it, some of the most complex paint jobs we've ever had, from bursts to custom jobs to all of it. And she's been the one, even before she started here full time, even as a contractor before, she's been the one to dial all that in. And I think there is something to be said for that, with kind of a woman's intuition and being able to see that detail and bring something to life that really is meaningful to people.
Well,
Yeah,
great.
if they want to do it, just do it. Try.
That's great.
You know,
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.